And again, I'm going to keep working to get Teresa back in here, but while we wait for her, she did send me a little video featuring the work that Misericordia does. So I'm going to share my screen right here and go ahead and play that video. Make sure.
Another attempt, which is to settle the score. will set the world on fire. And I was wrong. Let me help you live on.
All right, so yeah, that was just a little video of some of the work that Misericordia does. Looks like we may have had a time zone issue was our problem here, so fully expecting Teresa to jump in at some point in the next few minutes and continue working on that. So while we're going, we'll just kind of jump into some of the questions, and I'll catch Teresa up as she joins in a little bit later. So Maddie, for you, what would you say has been maybe one of the biggest challenges you faced in your community during the pandemic, and how has that challenge either changed or adapted from like mid-March when we first started really experiencing this till now?
Yeah, so to be eligible to come to Operation Breakthrough, all of our families fall under the Missouri poverty line. And so I would say at first, when the pandemic really started, one of the biggest things that we kind of saw as what would be a barrier for our families was connecting virtually and making sure that they had the ability to still connect with all of the teachers and the families, as well as the essential staff members that they might need as well. So we actually worked with another nonprofit here in town called Connecting for Good, so that we were able to give all of our families one piece of technology, whether that was a tablet or a laptop, and then a Wi-Fi router as well to work with at home. It also helped service a lot of our families that had parents and or caregivers that were in school as well. So I think at first that was kind of the biggest thing that we were worried about as a barrier to connect with our families while we were away, not here on site. And then the ability to still get them those items as well. So a lot of our families are on public transportation. We are located directly on the bus line, and that is purposeful so that it is easy and accessible to all of our families that are riding the bus or walking, certain things like that. So we were able to connect with all of our families and do deliveries for those essential items that they would need. So we have different groups and social workers here on site that worked with our families to be able to connect with them so that we could deliver food or hygiene items that they might need at home. A lot of our families are used to getting that when they do either drop off or pick up. So I think that was just another big shift, not being able to be here on site. Things just kind of started ever so changing. And so not coming here to do pickup or drop off, it started to kind of create that thought process of, okay, how can we still connect with our families and how can we get them the things that they need? So those are kind of just two of the things. And then I think teachers really kind of had to rework how they were going to connect to students. You know, that in-person, face-to-face is a huge thing that we focus on, especially with social emotional growth here at an early Head Start center from birth to 5 years. That's something we really focus on to get kids ready for kindergarten, making sure that they know the feelings that they're experiencing and to be able to talk about those. We do a lot of on-site different therapies, and we have yoga on site and dance, music therapy, certain things like that. So I think teachers really had to start kind of rethinking what that was going to look like so that we could still get those services to our kids in a daily way. So it just started kind of looking different. We started doing different YouTube uploads and connecting through FaceTime and Zoom. A lot of our students were able to just jump on a FaceTime, and so things kind of started shifting to more one-on-ones. But I think that was really great because it really allowed for those relationships to kind of really build and grow. So we definitely faced a bunch of different things, and every day is kind of ever so changing. We're getting more restrictions, things are lightening up and then they're kind of back. So every day looks different. And so I would just say that people have had to really kind of put a creative spin on how they approach things so that we can still put our families and our students first.
Awesome, thank you. And that's great that I know that technology barrier has been such a big challenge for a lot of educational institutions and the work that they're doing. And so that's great that you were able to kind of find a workaround for that and still make that you're forming that connection with the students. So that's awesome. So kind of looking more towards the future and when thinking about your upcoming plans, what are ways that we, either as Buck-I-SERV or the students who participate in the trips or just active citizens in general, can support you? And any suggestions for either socially distant service or maybe programming that, volunteer programming that you're still having for those who may be in the Kansas City area?
Yeah, awesome. So I guess my job specifically, I have had to be really creative on ways to still connect people. There have been so many different community partners, people like you, individual volunteers that even though they can't be on site, they really still want to help. So we've really kind of tried to, again, be creative in ways to still connect people, connect our students, connect our families to people in the community that want to give their time and energy to help support Operation Breakthrough, especially long term. Not knowing when COVID-19 and all of those things, I said new normal earlier, and I think that this might just be a way of life that we are kind of adapting to until we know differently. So we have done a lot of different virtual things. So we've sent kind of like packets and certain things to different groups. They've been able to connect on Zoom. So typically if they used to come in and do a one-day service project, maybe cutting out math games and sorting dice and little counters, cutting things for us, certain things that kind of take a lot of time but are really important to get done. So all of our students have the same math game or letter game, certain things like that. We've actually been able to send the materials out to people. They've cut, sorted, put them all in baggies for us, put the kid's name on them, and then brought them back to us here on site. So that's one way that we have been able to connect with certain groups and then allowed them to connect as well. So one of our groups actually got on Zoom, did it together, played music, chatted while they all cut and counted and sorted different things. We've had a lot of people do different donations and drives in their neighborhoods. One middle school girl, it's amazing actually, she did a no contact food and toiletry drive. So she just sent out flyers to all of like her, surrounding neighbors and streets and things like that. And then her and her mom together went through and did a pickup. So all you had to do was just put it on your driveway and they came and picked it up on a certain day and certain time. So there's all kinds of things. I'm a big advocate of time, treasure, and talent. There's a lot of different ways to give. And so one of the ways I've been thinking about that is all the kind of different creative ways to give your time, give your energy, and give those treasure if that's kind of what your MO is. So there's definitely still kind of a huge, I guess, like gray area of ways that you can get involved, because I have really just been listening to kind of what other people have been doing and really working with them to still kind of create ways to do that. We had one family organized with their entire school, actually. They made birthday cards for all of our kids. So we do birthday gifts for all of our kids throughout the year. Oftentimes we just have decorated bags, and then we do birthday presents left over from our Christmas program. But all of the kids now have individualized cards. So that was like an amazing thing for this family to do. They were supposed to have come and done a one-day service project here on site, and they just kind of shifted their gears and just did individualized birthday cards. So I sent them a list of all the kids' names, and then they wrote them out. So it just adds that little touch of kind of something personal when the students get their birthday presents. So there's tons of ways to still engage, whether it's cutting games or doing something virtually. Like I said, there's always something that has to be done around here, and we really rely heavily on volunteers. We kind of run with a skeleton staff just so that most of the funding that we get, we can funnel right back directly into the classroom. So typically, we'll have anything from 200 to 250 volunteers in a week. And right now we have none. So it has definitely been a shift for us. So there are definitely ways to still kind of engage here on site, and then ways to engage virtually. We had some people record different read alouds to send to our kids. Some people did a book drive. So there's all kinds of different things. I have just been kind of, as things come up, I've tried to do my best to kind of wear my creative hat and find a way to connect them. So there's really not one answer. I know that was kind of broad and probably like a million things, but that's kind of how my brain works. I'm like, there's nothing we can't do, right? Especially now with this kind of new age of technology and certain things. And I think it's actually really kind of given people a creative outlet to connect with people kind of all over the world, which is really awesome. So there's definitely been, at least in my view, somewhat of a silver lining to still connect with people. And then, like I said, for people in the Kansas City area, we have kind of started to figure out ways for people to still connect with no contact and social distancing. So helping us organize food pantry items and then drop them off, or, we'll do it outside and people wear masks and we just don't have more than 2 additional people. We still are taking temperatures and having people sign in, certain things like that. No one's coming into the classroom or the facility, but there are ways to kind of still interact somewhat on site. So
Great. Well, thank you all. Thank you for sharing all of those. I'll definitely be reaching out to you as well as Teresa and all of our other folks about things that our students can be doing over the summer, because some people
great.
are getting a little bored at home and having some trouble, and so finding some creative and valuable opportunities to engage with community organizations, I think, is great. Also,
Yeah, for sure.
our friends in the Pay It Forward, the local service program here at Ohio State, have put together some socially distant service for those of you interested in participating in the Columbus community. So we're going to try and find creative ways, like you mentioned, to get out there and still be connecting with everyone all across the country. So great.
Awesome.
Thank you for sharing. Okay, so like our Buck-I-SERV motto is travel, learn, serve. So we can't travel right now, but we can definitely still learn and serve. What a resource you think Buck-I-SERV students would appreciate, like an article or a podcast or something either related directly to the work that you do that you found very useful in this time, or maybe just more in general that you found kind of working, has helped you kind of cope with the new working environment and the new kind of, like you said, the new normal that you're adjusting to?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of great resources actually just on our website at Operation Breakthrough. So if students are really interested in just learning more about the work that we do and the things that we've done in the past and what we have coming up, we have like a blog post. So there are ways to continually be looking and learning about Operation Breakthrough, the things that we're doing and the way that we're servicing our students. Anyone can actually log on and see all of our teacher web pages. So it's really awesome to kind of see what the teachers are doing and how they're actually connecting with students. I think a lot of our teachers have learned from each other and then also gotten ideas from other educators and then put them on the website as well. I am a Teach for America alum, so I still really pay attention to the things that they do on social media. I follow their website, I have their newsletter, and I think that they just have a really great kind of collection of things from educators all over, from all different areas in the country, different schools, and then from different points of view as well. I was early ed, but I think that there's a lot of different creative ways that older teachers in high school and things like that have really been able to. So that has been something that I've still been looking on. I've been listening to a lot of interesting podcasts just because we've had a lot of time to have headphones in that I'm not normally used to. And so I've just been learning a lot. I'm going to look up the name of it because I always just save them. But it has been really great for just educators to kind of learn. It's called The Stuff You Should Know About. And it's just constant kind of updates about the world we're living in and how it really affects those that are most vulnerable. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And welcome, Teresa. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I started off by showing Maddie did her introductions, and then I showed the video that you sent me for Misericordia. So would you like to go ahead and just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, the work that you do and that Misericordia does, and then kind of how your overall operations have been impacted by COVID-19? We can't hear you, unfortunately. Wait just a minute. If you want to try and drop out and rejoin, sometimes that'll work. All right. Well, while we sort that out, not sure what the problem is there technology-wise. Technology is always so fun. So fun. No. Okay. It might be because your headphones are plugged in. Sometimes I run into that problem of the. Okay. No, unfortunately. All right. Well, Teresa, keep on trying, and we'll see what we can do to to get that working. I know that always is a struggle for me too. So no worries at all. When you get a chance to try and keep speaking it, and we'll let you know when we can hear it. While we wait for Teresa to kind of get back into it and try and get that audio figured out, Maddie, I'll just kind of stay with you when thinking a little bit about the Buck-I-SERV program and the volunteer work that we do. Where are you seeing student groups going to be maybe the most helpful they can be in the future for the program? And where do you see them as like significant changes that might be happening for the future, if you're even looking at kind of group volunteers right now?
Yeah, I am obviously hopeful that we'll be able to welcome group volunteers back in the future, whether that, be next year, over spring break time, or the holiday season, whatever that might look like. But I am hopeful that we will be able to have them back on site. I think that really helps just kind of build and be able to see really what we do here on site and build that relationship. But I think that there's a lot of things that people can do virtually. I often find, just sharing things on Facebook or Instagram. So many people now are on different media sites, Twitter and certain things like that. And Operation Breakthrough is on them as well. And I think a lot of times it's really just the awareness of getting it out there to be able to share not only who we are and what we do, but all over, so students, especially those that are good with technology and are constantly on it, I think that that's a really great way that moving forward, they can kind of share who we are, what we do. So not only are we just reaching people in Kansas City, but we are reaching other colleges and cities and towns and things like that. And I think just doing different drives and certain donations, things like that, as well as just spreading the word. I think that's kind of one of the best things that people can do, is just kind of spread awareness of what there is going on and the different programs that are in the world. And then, if you have served on them, you can really kind of speak authentically to that. I think that's one of the best things of when somebody has been able to do something, or they really know something, or it's really passionate for them. So the more that people just kind of learn about Operation Breakthrough, connect with the kids and build that relationship, there's a lot of room to grow too. We, in the last couple of years, have also done a young professionals group called the OB Network. And so anyone can join that. You don't actually have to be here in Kansas City. So that's another way for people to get involved long-term, so even a group of people can decide to join, maybe do a little happy hour and think of ways that they can connect with Operation Breakthrough further. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to see if your audio is working now? Still nothing, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, thank you for trying to join us. Here, I'll follow up with you and send an email, and then I'll collect all this information and send it to all the attendees of the webinar. So we all understand technology does not always like to be compliant with what we're doing, but I'll collect all that and I'll send it out to everyone so we can still make sure to have all your resources, as well as if you want to just type some of the answers to some of the questions we sent you out, I can include those in there as well. That sounds good? Cool. Thanks, Teresa. All right. Okay. Well, looks like it's just you and I then, Maddie.
No worries.
So then kind of like thinking more on a bit of a positive, kind of hopeful note, what is something you've had the chance to like change or adapt for the better that you think during this time? Or what's maybe a story of something like hopeful, compassionate, or supportive that's kept you going through all this disruption?
Yeah, there have been a lot of really cool things that have happened. I was working from home for the 6 weeks that we had to be closed. Just technically, since there were no volunteers on site, there were things that I could be doing from home. Unfortunately, I wasn't really deemed essential, and just to keep everyone safe, I was working from home. But it was really difficult to do that. So I was really excited to get back on site. But during that time, I felt like I was really able to connect with a lot of different community partners, and then the volunteers that had been coming to Operation Breakthrough for so many years. Some had joined us just this past year, and we've had some volunteers that have been coming for like 15, 20 years now. So it was really cool to kind of learn their stories and why Operation Breakthrough means so much to them. Because to me, that just really speaks volumes of the organization as a whole, as well as the students and families, and really just that you get to know and love them. And that you really get to see them grow, So we had one of our volunteers share a story of the fact that he had seen his first kid that he started working with in the baby room graduate high school last year. And so that was just a really cool thing to just be able to hear about. So as life kind of slowed down. It was unfortunate that we couldn't be here on site, but he was really able to kind of reflect on all of the time that he had spent at Operation Breakthrough and kind of celebrate those little moments. And we were able to actually still connect a lot of our volunteers to the teachers in the classrooms and the kids. So a lot of our volunteers are actually able to connect through Zoom and or FaceTime to still be able to see the kids, and so that the kids could still see their familiar faces too. So that was just kind of something that I found to be hopeful, that even though we can't be on site, people's heart and their passion is still here to kind of work through those barriers that we might have due to COVID-19. And there has just been a lot of generosity in the community. So we have had a lot of different people, ask what they can do and reach out and ask the things that we need. Certain things like different diaper drives and wipes and, expecting mother baskets. Because it's really kind of, I'm assuming that it would be a really scary time to be expecting a baby right now. And so for our families that are most vulnerable, we've had some baskets kind of been organized throughout this time for people that also can't leave their homes but wanted to do something. So they put together expecting mothers gift baskets, things that the both mom would need and baby would need to both kind of keep them both safe and healthy and happy during this time. So like I said, it's really just kind of been a really cool time to see all of the different ways that people have been creative, but also keeping Operation Breakthrough kind of top of mind, especially the students. And students are amazing and resilient and so adaptable. Like you kind of think, for us, I actually think it's been harder for me to wear a mask than some of the 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds. They are definitely inspiring every day, the things that they can do and how quickly they've adapted to this new normal and social distancing, doing like little high fives with our feet or virtual waves or hand kisses. There's so many different things that we've kind of switched to be able to kind of teach them what's going on in the world and why we've had to switch things. But they have just kind of taken it and really run with it. So they, their lives seem to kind of ever be changing, and they're kind of ever growing as well. So that's been really inspiring to see. I think there was a lot of kind of fear with COVID-19, like when it first kind of came to the surface of, what are we going to do and how are people going to live and survive and keep going? And I've just seen that with all of our families and all of our kids and all of our students and teachers, they've really kind of been able to just take it and move forward. It looks different and it hasn't necessarily been the fastest thing, but they've really tried to keep what's best for the students and their families top of mind, which is just really inspiring to see. I think a lot of times when things like this happen, it's kind of like it is a fearful time, and people often fall back on that. So for all of our families and our students and our parents to kind of rely on each other and stay connected, it's been really inspiring to see that. And I'm hopeful that in the future, that's kind of a new norm, is that like in moments of fear and uncertainty, we really rely on each other. And I think that that's just kind of like the OB way, it's really kind of an extension of family. A lot of people talk about this kind of being a second home for them, because a lot of the teachers and the staff members here become kind of family members to our parents and our families and our students, because that's really one of the things that we function on, is really that relationship building, so that we can really kind of move forward and work with them. And I think that our volunteers really adapt to that as well, whether that's virtually or in person. So it's been really kind of cool to see all of the ways people have adapted, but kind of kept a positive mindset of like how we can continue to move forward.
Awesome. Thank you. Very well put. Appreciate that. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions from the audience today. So,
Okay.
I've kind of been asking you questions all day. Are there any like kind of last things that are on your mind?
Sure.
Thoughts you want to say before we kind of close out for? Yeah.
I will send you, if you think, Connor, we have a really kind of cool video. I just didn't even think about sending it to you. And then a link to our website. And then I'll send kind of our social media platforms. I think it's just a fun way to stay connected and see what people are doing. And you just never know what kind of might spark interest in someone and how they might want to get connected. So I'll really be sure to send you all of that information and then our video as well. I think the best thing right now is to just like work in coalition and collaboration with everyone. And I think you guys have such a broad range of students that someone might think of something really creative just by seeing other things that we've been doing. So I'll be sure to send that to you. And I really just appreciate your guys' support and friendship right now. It's been amazing to kind of feel the support, even if it's from far away, of people wanting to do things, reaching out, and just not forgetting that organizations like us exist, and that we are hopeful to kind of be able to welcome volunteers back on site in the future as well. So I appreciate all of your guys' time and energy.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you as well. I'll definitely take all the information you can send me and get it sent out. And for those of you who are still in the webinar and we're interested in hearing from Misericordia today, I'll get in touch with Teresa and collect some information there and send it out there as well. But thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Maddie. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, yeah.
One last thing I wanted to share real quick with the folks who are on here. So we just make sure that we're still touching on some of the stuff, the COVID-19 response from the Ohio State side. Definitely check out the We Are Here For You page. It contains a lot of good information for Ohio State faculty, staff, and students that provide resources that Ohio State's still able to be there for you at this time. Also, like I mentioned before, Pay It Forward, our local service program, has been doing some socially distant service opportunities with their community partners. So I encourage you to check it out on our website. And finally, just thank you all for joining. Thank you, Maddie, and thank you all for just being here and getting the chance to engage in some conversation. We're hoping to be back at Operation Breakthrough as soon as we can. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Connor. Everyone have a great day.